One second, family. We're gonna get started. Peace, family. Peace, peace. I'm taking my shades off. There's a little sunshine out here. We're gonna kick some history since it's so-called Black History Month, Moors. We're gonna kick some history and see if brothers and sisters are willing to research themselves instead of being told things from others, also from our own kind. When when we teach, we try to teach from a perspective where we should understand the etymology of the language of the words that we're using. So you won't be caught out of context. You won't let anyone arbitrarily explain words to you. You won't be caught up in linguistic apartheid. You'll understand the difference from denotation and connotation. And that's when I speak from a perspective of science, when I say all this stuff is elementary. These are things that we learn from the elements, and my elementary students, they receive this. So when I come from science, Moors, when Moors be arguing over what somebody taught in this, I don't get in that. I come from scholarship and resource and research. And I tell brothers and sisters that I understand who I am from a historical perspective, also from a religious perspective, things that was written. So there's no reason for us Moors and other truth seekers to be on platforms arguing with each other. It makes us look very, very stupid. And it's really not solving any major issues like economics and agriculture. And I see brothers and sisters talking about clothing where we have a printing press and we have stitch machines. And I'm going to highlight some of the hats and the jogging suits that my students make. I'll show one of the sweatshirts that I wear a lot when I'm out. These are things that we make to where we don't complain about things. I don't have the pants on to match, but this is just the back of the jacket. This is something that we first started making a few years ago. And it just have the more, but we do a lot. We got jogging suits, hats, and we industrial. All my youth have it. Like, I'm going to show hats and stuff, but what we teach is history, economics, agriculture, man. And we don't argue with our brothers and sisters about their religious perspective and their isms, if you're understanding science. And I respect and give honor to all my brothers and sisters, because when man honors man, he honors Allah. So I'm never here to do any debates. That's why you'll never see me on platforms debating my brothers and sisters. When I do a lot of lectures, they're at college universities, and if anybody interested in coming, they're more than welcome to come. You're more than welcome to come to California to the Philosophical Society Research Society Library. I do lectures there. People hide things. A lot of things are available, and the reason why we don't know things is because a lot of the so-called sheiks or teachers, they don't know. And they only giving you what they've been taught. So we can't be mad at a person when they only coming from 360 of wisdom, and they coming from religious dogma, and then they're not understanding the essence of masonry and the essence of all the sciences. So we got to dig. And the first thing that one of my students was talking about today, when I say we got to clear up history and be willing to research and remove feelings. I'm going to show pictures. I'm going to show all this stuff. This is all us. This don't come from no European, from no Catholic. None of this is theirs. And I'm going to show all this. But when I talk about things from peer-reviewed research, where we got to stop letting people just tell us something. And our own scholars have done it. Like, for instance, we say that February, the reason why we celebrate so-called Black History Month, or Moorish American Month, whatever you want to call it, is because it's the shortest month of the year, and that's what they gave us. And I say, well, we always take the negative side of things, and we don't do any research to compare nothing to. So I'm going to give you something to compare to and research this. Because that's the problem with Negro, Black, and colored, and even a lot of Moors. We just go on things and not researching and go what's right and be theosophists and be philosophers and be free thinkers. Where I'm here to tell you that February is not just because it's some shortest day of the month. that was Frederick Douglass' birthday, and he didn't have any birth certificate, but from his people and from his writers and what he could put together, his birthday was around February, and around February 14th. So we don't take the negative aspect of what somebody throw down our throat without doing any research to say, well, I hear that, but what about the positive side of that? Because it's duality in words. We must understand the duality and the context of and every angle that a person is coming. And if you're not a philosopher, a researcher, a scholar, you're not going to understand the angle or the connotation or the arbitrary perspective or the religious dogma perspective that a person is trying to put up on you. And I'm not here to put no isms on you. I tell my brothers and sisters, I'm an adept. I'm a Moorish Master Mason. I'm a part of the Philosophical Society. I'm 33 times 3. So I'm not here to argue with anybody. I challenge my brothers and sisters to research. So the first topic we're going to talk about is one of the topics that one of my students, he was talking about, because this is, like I said, one of my elementary students. Everybody in school, even the teachers, like to talk about roots. And my students know that that's a myth. And so he took this book to school, because I say all my students are researchers. And if they're going to give you a book to say this is all it is, I'm going to give you a book to take back from scholarship and compare to show the BS. So let me highlight this book. It's by Harold Colander, The Original Compelling Saga of African American Roots. I want you to listen to me clearly, Morris, when I tell you, don't get caught up when just because your own kind of gives something to you. Like when I talk about Ron Karenga, Negroes and blacks, they get so caught up with Kwanzaa. And I say research Ron Karenga and what Kwanzaa was all about and who that man was and what it was about before we start just jumping on things that get you off the plan and get you off the idea of what's the whole collective idea. Research that science. So let's talk about the African first. The African is an unforgettably moving story of an African boy, Hwesunu, Hwesunu, who was kidnapped from his homeland by American slave traders, born of decades of field research among African and Caribbean people. This novel recreates the horrors and middle passages, blah, 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 blah. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of what I'm saying. First published in 1967, The African has sold more than 300,000 copies, was translated in several languages, and was proven primary source for Alex Haley's Pulitzer Prize winning Roots. Did you hear me? You can research Alex Haley. He wasn't no kid. They one of his ancestors. That crap was all made up. So we leave that right there. We're gonna talk. We got to talk about things. We got to lay the things out on the line. I'm gonna show you a picture. When I see goofball, Negro, black, and colored, even more think they can tell somebody nationality by the hue of their skin. I said, you got to be the dumbest person in the world. Don't you understand? If the Moors ruled Spain for 700 years, what women were over there? Just like if a Negro, black, and color, or more, if you was in so-called China and it was all China women there, what women going to be there? What women are the men going to deal with? We got to talk sense, man, and stop talking stupid. We got to talk sense and stop talking stupid. So if don't nobody know who this man is, this is Paschal Beverly Randolph. Oh yeah, and we're going to talk about him. I'm going to give you a little bit about him. Paschal Beverly Randolph was a black man. You know? Let's see where it talks about his mom. Okay, let's see. Yeah, he built himself and rescued with more the fact if the wealth of the myth of blah blah blah. If Paschal is a person. Let me find it. About his mom. I don't want to stick on it too much. I want you to research it, and if you can't get the research, these are a lot of older books that we print on the print press. When I tell Morris, I have a print press at my temple, or at my school. Sexual Magic, Paschal Beverly Randolph. I hope you know who that is. After Death, this embodiment of man. This was printed in 1886. 1886, Morris. This is, if we understand, when we talk about Angelo Solomon, when brothers don't understand true masonry and science, I say, man, Angelo Solomon was one of the fathers of masonry. Paschal Beverly was one of the founders of Rosicrucian, which the Circle 7 Quran is made of. When I tell Morris, the Prophet Noah Ali was a teacher with an adept. I'm telling you, man, we getting stuff twisted. We can research this brother. Research him. Research the brother. Research the brother. So when brothers be talking nonsense, I'm gonna read a picture, and then I always ask questions to my brothers and sisters. This is a picture. We're not gonna deal with who the lighter you person is. We're not even going there with that crap. I don't even care. We're gonna prove things and want our brothers to research. We're not gonna talk about things that's not gonna help us. We talk about things in history that can build our babies up, our emperors up, to know history, to know how the world operates, to know that God and man is one. So let's talk about this picture right here. Now watch, let's build. Let's build. All right, okay. In October, okay, we okay. They say that's David Fardell, whatever. But that ain't what we talking about. Okay, Matt, forget that. We ain't gonna talk about him neither, because we keeping everything positive. Positive. Let's go. There are many Masons shown in this picture. The development of the MSTA saw the influence of many high-degree black Shriners. High-degree black Shriners. That's why when I tell more, when the European and the Prince Hall Masonries, after they come through 33 and 33 degrees, what they become, Shriner, they start practicing Al-Islam, not Islamism, not Sufism. That's a whole nother lecture. Okay, Masons and secret societies, particularly the ancient Egyptian Arabic orders of nobles of the mystic shrine. Remember that. What did I say? Ancient Egyptian Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine. Started by Noble Ali Rofel Pasha and John George Jones in 1893. These secret societies played a major role in the events during the late 20s, 30s, and governmental changes in America that have great importance to the events happening presently in respect to the subject of reparations and the New World Order. So, when brothers don't understand the science, you letting somebody get you with spookism and European Freemasonry, and not talking about free man. Pascal was a free man of color. A free man of color. If you're not going back to antiquity, you're lost. So, I just showed you the ancient Egyptian Arabic orders of the nobles of the mystic shrine that was part of here pictured with the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. So let's show something when brothers be talking. They don't know. A lot of stuff be allegories. A lot of stuff be symbology. Ain't nobody getting killed. Ain't nobody, when you talk about you got to die and be reborn, all symbology. There ain't nobody getting killed. You have to go through the houses, and I'm telling you, the secret ritual of the secret work of the ancient Arabic orders of the nobles of the mystic shrine, the Imperial Grand Council of the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of mystic shrine, Imperial Grand Potentate, July 1914. So ain't nothing hidden. Some brothers that put titles on themselves that call themselves sheiks and this, maybe wisdom is not there and they're not teachers and philosophers. Like I said, I've been a teacher. I have real world degrees and degrees in temples and in masonry and in science. So we talked about that. So now I'm going to show you some more pictures. And then we're going to get on the subject at hand. Okay, yeah, that's right there. I got that. Now, I showed you brothers the picture. You see my stole. I got it folded up, but I'm going to show you Wentworth Matthews first. Because I showed you the book. When I tell you, we letting brothers separate us. The Moorish diet is the Hebrew diet. If you follow me, I come from scholarship. I did my dissertation proving all this. You know, before the Civil War, the American Revolution, what were the black man Negro called? You can ask any professor. So, I showed this detail, and then I'm going to show you something else, and we're going to move on. We just going to keep it moving steadily. I showed you the picture. I showed you this picture. I showed you that. That's Rabbi Ford in a turban. Turbans were commonly used in black spiritual churches and signified the mystical East. What did he say? And signified the mystical East. Oh, when used by black religious magical workers. Oh, when brothers be saying they're not spiritual, they can you connotate it with everything they take from the Negro, black, and color. They make it spooky. Try to call it black magic, like Santeria and the Orisha, praying to the saints. Nothing spooky. Nothing spooky. We already had things, man. So let me show you another. Let me show you something. So I'm gonna show you this picture. I'm gonna show you stuff that I want you to read, look up. You see the brother, Rabbi Mordecai. You see the stole he got on. Same one. I just got mine folded up. But I'll unfold it for you more. I'll unfold it for my brothers and sisters. And I'm going to read it to you, what it says. So we can get things the right way. So we won't get things twisted. And you can stand strong with my students. When we stand strong, when a person asks you a question, and why you stand boldly on not only who you are, but what you are, where you come from in history, and you don't argue. So, let's dig. I'm going to show you the picture. Rabbi Mordecai Herman and the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Moorish Jews in 1920 Harlem. Look, now you see what's in the back. But do you see what's prophetic? Remember, United States Corporation made Israel a state in 1948. This in the 1920s. You see the American flag, which is also the commerce flag. What do you see in the back? You see the so-called 6-point star, don't you? What you see? The Moorish Zionist temple of the Jews. You see what we taught? We taught language, man. So we're not here to argue with anyone. We're here to teach scholarship and pull everything out. That's why our prophet said that we don't get rid of your biblical scriptures. He speaks about it. If you read the Circle 7 Quran, it's about the 18 mission years of his life. It's about masonry in chapter, what is it? I think it's chapter 5, verse 12 through 20, when they talk about our Kemetic workman tools. I hope we know that. Just like when I talk about the book of Yasher, which is quoted in your biblical scriptures. They say there are 13 history books that are mentioned and recommended by the Bible. That's bullcrap. I got them all in my library. The ancient book of Yasher is the only one of 13 that still exists. That's a bunch of crap. And that's how they draw the breadcrumbs up when you're not a researcher. When someone will tell you it's not nothing else. Well, how you know it's not nothing else if you don't research it? When somebody tell you something that sound good. Well, I'm here to tell you everything that a Negro, black, or colored person, no matter if it's a preacher, educated, if they didn't tell you real history, they lied to you. So it's referenced in Joshua. Get your pen, students. The book of Yasher is referenced in Joshua 10 and 13, 2 Samuel 1 and 18, and 2 Timothy 3 and 8. Research this stuff. Ancient prophecies revealed. How you gonna know about somebody give you a book, a version of something, and tell you it's completed, and it's 18 missing years? The Cedar Omens. And these are just books that was took out the Bible. The Nag Hammadiyyas, the Old Testament Pseudographia, all those books. So now we're going to talk about this science, and we gone. We demonstrate stuff, man. When we got to get things right. When I told you about the Gad and Seer. I mean, things be right in our face. We don't argue with nothing. Watch this. Written by Gad, seer of King David, about 1000 BC. If we're going to tell a story. The book of prophecy is recommended reading by the Bible. What? Recommended. Prereqs. Just like the Yasher. That's what I tell people. How you going to get a book and the book that you read tell you to read something else before you even jump in this? That's a prereq. Somebody, I mean, but the book of prophecy is recommended reading by the Bible, but was never included in the canon. Who say? We know why. We know why. When we talk history and science, we know that Caesar Borgia, the Italian replacement of so-called Yeshua, and then we understand Alexander the Greek, Serapis Christos, when he invaded Asia. How did he get from Europe to Asia? Through the Exxon Sea, and made himself a pharaoh by force. It was taught to have been lost over the millennia ago. The book of Gad, Nathan, Agai, Shemaiah, and Edo are referred to as the Lost Five. This long lost book includes 2 revealing sermons given by King David. We have a prophecy that outlines the end times, beginning with the rapture, the 7-year tribulation, and the establishment of Christ's millennial reign. More intriguing than that, it actually reveals who Mystery Babylon is and how it tries to destroy the Jews, but we know who the Jews are, the Hebrews, the Igbos. We about to deal with that, through a union with Islam. Both groups have different replacement theology, religions. There are also 2 discussions on how the law of Moses viewed Gentiles. Do they keep the law? ECT. And so when I come from a historic perspective, I'm not coming from no religious aspect, if you're an adept. So I deal with the zodiac law. I understand the essence of all religion. But if we understand history and time period and dispensations, you got to understand when Muhammad walked the earth. If we're going to research from what's been written and understand all pens and when the pen was changed, during that time when Muhammad walked the earth, it was under the Byzantine Empire. He married Khadijah, which was a high Roman priestess. Her cousin Werigar was a priestess. So I'm not here to argue with nothing. I just challenge brothers to research. I challenge brothers to research and get out your feelings. Before the so-called transatlantic slave trade, you had the Arab slave trade. It's just facts. Research what the Arab slave trade, how the Arabs enslaved millions of Africans, Igbos, whatever you want to call it. You got to go back in history. They had pictures of Hebos for sale and Negroes for sale. So we're not going to argue and debate science. But what really killed me is Negro, black, and color, and even more is we arguing over who sold this and who sold that, which is the stupidest thing to even be talking about. So let's dig with this science. Let's dig with the science. The Igbo, the Hebrew. When the rest of my books come, I'm gonna show you it's been written genetically, coming from their pen. That the so-called Jew is the Igbo genetically. It's nothing to argue about. You can get and if anybody want to break down the encyclopedia, when it explains Jew, we'll break every word down. I'll show you the wordplay. I'll show you the linguistic wordplay, and then I'll show you right in the encyclopedia Hebrew how it breaks it down. You got to be able to break every word down, and you will see the trickery with words. So let's dig. Igbo people all over the world. I was going to give a prayer, but let's go with Gad and his sons. When you be reading things, and we don't be knowing what it be talking about because we're not researching it. When I say you must understand, if you call yourself an adapt or a sheik or some whatever, and you don't understand the SO and the XO, you don't understand history, you don't understand international law, you don't understand the zodiacs and the constellations, you don't understand agriculture, then you can't be an adept. I mean, it's not just what somebody telling you. It's able to manifest this stuff. And that's one of the laws of the seven Kemetic principles, connotated by Hermetic principles. That's one of the laws. That's what us adepts, when we talk about the House of Ali, it's more than just the wisdom is here. It's talking about connecting to the elements, attracting things to you. But that's a whole nother story, man. Get your pens and your pencils, Moors. Genesis 46 and 10, and the sons of Gad, Ziphion and Haggai, and Esbon, Eri, and Ardio, and Ariel. This is the evidence that God's sons are the descendants of Gad's sons Eri, Ariel, and Arodi. I might be pronouncing it wrong, Moors. Prior to the Exodus, traveling with the members of various other tribes of Israel, such as Judah, Levi, Zebulun, to where, Moors? When I show you in the biblical scriptures, I don't care if they got a King James Version, I know about landmass and geographical landmass. You got the continent of Africa, Akibaline, and you got Europe. I'm telling you, and the 1828 dictionary tells you the truth. There is also evidence that even after the Exodus and the different points of the history, before and after Babylonian and Assyrian captivities, the Gadites and other Israel tribes made their way down to Nigeria to join their brothers whom they knew were already there. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. So let's dig. We knew since at least 1789 AD that the Jews, we know Jews is Hebrew, we can talk on that all day, but follow me, have been interested in the possible Igbo-Israel connection, right? When a former Igbo slave named who, Moors? It's there. I'm going to pull out the books in my library. If you can't get them, Moors, I got them. I'll print them for you, ship them to you. Research the Igbo slave named Olauda, O-L-A-U-D-A, Equana, E-Q-U-I-A-N-O. Living in London, first proposed the Igbo-Israel relationship in his autobiography. Anglican missionary G.T. Baston, the first to minister to the Igbo, wrote many books which claimed and connected the Igbos to the tribes of Israel. Yeah, G.T. Baston is there, and even the European. When I speak of scholarship, I don't come from no dogma to try to trick brothers to believe something I'm saying. I can care less about that. Several editions of the Encyclopedia Britannica Moors in 1929 connect the Igbo people to God. or God, Moors, Gad, excuse me. A Torah commentary on the Shemoth in 1922 made the Igbo-Gad connection also, Moors. Some Igbos, including Dr. Ikidif, recalls Israelis visiting Igbo land and investigating such claims during the Biafran War, the Biafran War. Research this, Moors. The interpret, like when you say the name Igbo as mispronounced Hebrew. I keep telling more Hebrew is an American German. That ain't no historic. Until today, Moors, the members try to they pray to the Chukwa Abima. I might be pronunciating it wrong. Chukwuabima, which is Abraham's son or Abraham's God. Excuse me, Moors. The Igbos, well known for their struggle for independence in the Biafra War, and now considered the Jews of Nigeria, there, and have contributed greatly to the intellectually and the economic development in the country. Are we gonna touch on them? We're gonna touch on a little bit more. Watch this. Watch this. Cultural evidence linking the Igbo to God. In 1789, Olada Ikwana, an Igbo and former slave who lived in London, said in his autobiography that the Igbos were one of the lost tribes of Israel and cited the many identical cultural similarities between them and the Jews. When the missionaries came to Nigeria to evangelize, missionaries, you got to remember, we didn't have to have no biblical book. We have spirituality, so you got to get that in your head. So when the missionaries came to Nigeria to evangelize, they were dumbfounded to discover that the Igbo people practiced many Hebraic Jewish customs, which they could not have learned from anyone else, Moors. It had to come from ancient practice of their people from antiquity. For they had no Bibles and met no one with a Bible until the missionaries came. They found that the Igbos, the true genetic people of the book, eating of animals that met the biblically clean requirements, as well as the complete draining of the blood from the animal, as well as other laws concerning kashrut, which is kosher. The same way with us Moors. If any more don't know that we practice a Hebrew diet, they lying to you. Come on, Moors, y'all know we under a Hebraic diet. If you don't know that, then that's somebody lying to you. We already had a concept of clean and unclean. Animal sacrifice like unto Levitical sacrifice systems. Belief in supreme, all-powerful deity. Chukwu, C-H-U-K, or Chakwu, W-U, above all other deities. Circumcision of the 8th day, as well as had the naming ceremony of the 8th-day-old child, giving names that bear the name of the title of God within. Separation of menstruating women, the keeping of a lunar calendar. Shemitah, and Jubilee year, sending the bodies home of Igbos who died outside of Igbo land to be buried like Joseph and Jacob, desiring not to be buried in a pagan or foreign land. I can go on and on. Marriage negotiations, Oniyaka Ibi, between families like unto the story of Isaac and Rebekah, a type of cities of refuge where an Igbo who has committed a crime can seek refuge in his mother's natal home, known in Igbo as Ikwunne, I-K-W-U-N-N-E. Just like when you do geographical landmass, when I show you the Bible, the reason why they don't want to give the continent of Africa a maximum, because when you do that, you see Israel and Egypt, right, is walking distance. They tell you in the book, when the famine came, where did they go? Where did they walk to? And when the missionaries came, they forced the Igbo people to ban many of the Hebraic practices because though they resemble biblical worship of God, they believe many have been done away with. I'm telling you. An Igbo man named Abraham, a cantor of the Nastari Jewish community in Nigeria, said, in a nutshell, Every law, as stated in the Torah, was being practiced by our forefathers before the advent of Christianity, except that our fathers went into idol worship, but they still kept the tradition as was handed over to them by their forefathers. That's why you are who your foremothers and forefathers are. Archaeological evidence. The Paleo-Hebrew script has been found in various places in the Igbo territories of Nigeria. Drawings like unto the Mogan David Star of David have been found in various places of Igbo land prior to the missionary arrival in Nigeria, Moors. There is a stone throne at Obu God, which confirmed Paleo or ancient Hebrew. When a person read modern Hebrew, that's gibberish. Inscription at the foot of the throne that indicates that the throne was constructed in honor of God or Gad. Just like when Moors say my brothers, they say they Egyptologists and they read the hieroglyphics and the Meter. Well, you should understand that right there in the hieroglyphics, if you understand the signs and symbols, that's YHWH. And it was two Hebrew gods in Egypt, Sebekos and Sabatos, that they honored. It's just what it is. In 1917, the British discovered about 500 feet below the soil of the palace grounds a solid bronze Star of David, indicated the Igbo people may have migrated from the ancient city of David. To commemorate this event, Nigerian kobo coins were minted with a Star of David on it. I mean, it's just there, man. The 7-year locusts came to the village of Umafi, was excited because they knew they could eat them, and in the Torah it deems such insects as okay to eat. And we see that Yeshua, which was Jesus, the Messiah cousin, John the Baptist, who was the priestly house of Levi, eat locusts too. Leviticus 11:22, Matthew 3 and 4. Peace, family. There is a fine spoken of a man whose cow got loose and trampled a neighbor's crop. This is likewise found in the Torah, Moors. If anyone graze their livestock in a field or a vineyard and lets them stray, and they graze in someone else's field, the offender must make restitution from the best of their own field or vineyard. Exodus 22 and 5. We could touch on all this. A man's life from birth to death was a series of transition rites which brought him nearer and nearer to his ancestors. This sentiment is equally shared belief in Judaism. Drinking horns are mentioned quite often in the book, and it is no coincidence, Moors, that horns in Judaism were used to drink from and hold oil, and at the time is used to pour out a libation to the Lord. Libations is a liquid or a drink. I'm telling you. When you see the film Things Fall Apart, you see the young men and women and children bow in respect to their elders when greeting them, especially when Kawu brought his family before his uncle. And you also see in scripture that Moses bowed before Jethro, his father-in-law, Exodus 18:7. Jacob and his children bowed before his elder brother, Esau, Genesis 33 and 7. And Joseph bowed before Jacob, his father, Genesis 48 and 12. This is most definitely an ancient Hebrew custom we see demonstrated in the Igbo culture. And my Igbo brothers and sisters know what I'm talking about. We just let people try to separate us. The Igbo dress, the traditional Igbo way of dressing, is more Hebraically authentic than that of the Orthodox Jews in the West, who adopted their dress from the 17th and 18th century Europe. I'm telling you, man. Like even when we talk about linguistic evidence, a linguistic culture evidence of the Israel, God, Erie, Igbo connection is the names which people bear which honor God. The so-called Hebrew names, titles of God, YHWH, the Yah. When we talk about Hayah, when I talk about palindrome words, Yah to the right, Yah to the left. Eliyahu, Elijah, Yah is my God, Yahashua, Joseph, Jehovah, saves. Igbo names, titles of God, Chi, Chuwu, Chinki, Chadi, Chawudi, there is a God. or God exists. Chizoba, God saves. Chadima, God is good. Chabuz, God is king. Chakwim Miba or Mika, God has done great things. I might be pronouncing it wrong. But we also have the historical parallels, Moors. Jews underwent the infamous persecution of the Jews during the mini Holocaust war, which they tried to say. And also, when we talk about history, Moors, we don't get caught up in feelings, because I'm gonna reveal some history, and the literature should be here hopefully in a couple days, when it's gonna highlight all the so-called black and the Asian soldiers in Hitler's regiment. And a lot of those, and a lot of his speaking was in German, and so we have a lot of stuff that's interpret what he's saying, and the pictures that he's showing. I have an old book coming from the Time magazine where he's showing who the true God's people are, and what he's saying. He was like, no, like those are Dionists, not you guys are the people of the book. But that's a whole nother subject. The Igbo history uncannily parallel much of Jewish history in so many ways. Is it a coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence. We could touch all this stuff, man. Everything lines up. You know? Everything lines up. So I challenge my brothers and sisters to do, man, is just do the research yourself and be willing to be a student, man. And don't let nobody get you caught up in some saying you got to choose some religious side. When we talk about in history, your nationality is a Moorish American. That's why if you say you're a Moor or an Adapt or a Sheik, you should understand the triple roles of the Adapt chamber, understanding the essence of all the so-called religious rites. I'm telling you, man, but we getting connotated. All I tell my brothers and sisters to do is when they talk about things, talk about it from scholarship. We can help our brothers and sisters. Because arguing over what somebody taught and brothers not teaching and not being historical, that saves us none. And I'm showing you pictures, what it says. The Moorish Zionist temple of the Moorish Jews. I showed you pictures of Noble Drew Ali. When brothers don't understand the essence of masonry because they just a student. And they're not adapt, they're not teaching, so they coming from a student perspective. And I showed you these were the ancient nobles of Egyptian Arabic orders of the nobles, of the mystic shrine. Right here with the prophet. And we talk about higher science. Because the brothers, they don't know it. That's why the European have this on their fez, ours not. Because they took up oath and off with their head. You see this. Our fez is clean. Or you see some more, they have the crescent and the star, which is righteous. But it's your science, Morris. And if we don't know that, then, like I say, most people are giving you student stuff, and they're not adepts. They're coming from religious dogma, and I give you all religions of the triple rows. I connect the synchronicity of all. I can show you all through history where things was connotated to you. I can show you all the symbols where things meant things. You know, the pentagram, the 6-point star, all that stuff. It's all historical. It all belonged to Moors. And when a person getting you in their religious dogma, I talk about it just like gangbanging. You know, when I see brothers trying to tell somebody what they can wear on their head and they don't understand about their tribe. You know, how can you tell somebody what you don't understand about their tribe when we say one nationality? When I talk about our empress, Verdis, the Washita Moors. But then you hear brothers telling brothers that your Moor is your nationality, that's your birthright. You know, these signs and symbols is yours. When I talk about the signs and symbols of the primordial man, it's just things that brothers don't know because they're students and they're propagating religious dogma. And I haven't took no oath. I can touch on all levels of science, history, international law. When I talk about fraudulent concealment, and I say your own brother can fraudulent conceal something to you, when they holding things back from you that if you would have known, you wouldn't have even went and promulgated that mess. That's why Noble Drew Ali said, if you wanted European or white sheets, I will give them to you. It's certain things that you can do in law the right way, but a lot of stuff doing is criminal. And we operate in the parameters of the law. If you're not, you're an alien. and if more say they adapt, they understand how to adapt wisdom. I mean, it's just so much that it's hard, for me to understand why when more say they more, then try to bang on other people and act like, okay, well, they have to be part of your group. No, their nationality is more. In America, they're a Moorish American. I don't care if you're part of no temple or not. You are a Moorish American. That is your birthright. That was what was hidden from you. That's what Noble Drew Ali tried to bring back to people, to let them know, if you don't do nothing, if you don't believe in nothing that no Negro, black or color, or no brother with no turban or no fez have on his head, if you don't believe nothing what that's saying, claim your nationality. And that's where I stand. Proclaim it. Proclaim it. And what other stuff talking about, what other brothers talking about in temples, I ain't here to debate that. I had a temple in Arizona for a couple years, and I'm just being honest, them Negroes didn't study nothing. They didn't study the circle of the Quran. They didn't bring their wives. The kids went around there acting like we some secret group. Like they some drug dealers, and I don't have time for that. I'm a businessman. I create business. I show brothers and sisters that they're businessmen. I show our children that we're commerce, how to operate on this earth plane, and how to take over your neighborhood. Brothers be bashing how the temple is set up, and I say, you don't even know how the temple is set up. You never even read the revised Hurt Smith. You don't even know that how the temple was set up. You can research it in the county of clerk's office. Set up with an affidavit. Understand why it was set up as a religious organization. The same way my temple, the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, where we're tax exempt from the government, scientific, religious, charitable, education. Meaning what? We could teach our own. Brothers and sisters, we got to get out of this nonsense when brothers say, well, 501c3 means, look, they're under the government. I have a nonprofit. That's business. I'm just like the Goodwill. I'm just like the YMCA. I'm just like the thrift stores. I'm able to operate in my community. I'm able to get plight houses in my neighborhood where I grew up in Flint, Michigan, donated to me, and the state write it off on taxes. I'm able to go in schools like I'm doing and teach, and have them write it up as an in-kind service and pay me a small fee to teach kids history, to be able to go into prisons and talk to the brothers as a real business, not some spooky. And that's what I tell brothers. How are you going to buy your community and be a charter community if you don't understand the dynamics of business? Somebody got to talk to me and don't understand that you are a business and how to operate in your community to where you can teach, but you worried about somebody else teaching your children. I said we have our own scholars. We have our own teachers. If we organize the right way, we can teach from a scholarly perspective. That's what this is about. It ain't about no views. It ain't about a whole bunch of people following me, because I do real work in the community. I shut my Instagram down. I got tired of it. But I write real books. And like I said, a lot of my books are flying off. I've gathered and compiled 10 research books. And it's just what it is. And I sell them on my own platform, and I donate them all over. Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, Mo. People be tripping and research them. They always talk this 501 because they only coming from one perspective, and they're not business. That's the thing. And then they more telling you, oh, they don't file tax, but all these Negroes got jobs. I know they all filing taxes, so they got jobs. I'm telling you, they don't know the degree of how to do things. They're not reading things to understand when you sign things that makes you an obligor, and you're obligated to do things when you're not reading it all. And when you do things and you're not reserving your right when you sign it, they're not telling you the whole dynamics of business, because none of them have a business. They're giving you the perspective that was through to them. How can you compare something if a person only gives you one thing to compare to? If they only throw the King James Version down your throat. And I say, okay, well, the King James Version also was written in the 1611, and it also came with the Apocryphy, the Old and the New. And it's also a holy name version. And it's also a God name version. And a God name and a holy name version of the Bible, right in the preface, it tells you not to pray to G-O-D or G-A-W-D. And why people have a toast on New Year's, they pray to God many. It's so much stuff in there. It tells you that God and man is one in the scriptures, but we read over that nonsense. We read over it. And we get caught up in religious dogma. But 501c3 Moors, I laugh at brothers. The temple is a 501c3, and it was set up as a religious organization. Brothers need to look at the words and the literature and how he said appointed, not elected. It's a lot of stuff in there. How are you going to teach? How are you going to educate if you're not a structure? Somebody tell me. You can get shut down if you're not. People say, oh, well, I'm telling you. Do you hear me say, I'm not ran by no government. No one's telling me I can't teach my people. I teach the love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. I teach history. Everything that I talk about, they have books. I can pull out the same books and compare that pseudo-academia from scholarship because I have real degrees. I have a bachelor's degree in business. I have a bachelor's degree in business management from Clear University with a minor in marketing and sales. Anybody can look me up. You can look up my degrees. I have a master's degree in ancient history and biblical history from Grand Canyon University. They did not like my candor. But who's the damn when you can speak eloquently with a silver tongue from scholarship? And I graduated with honors. And I have real adept degrees. So when people be talking that religious dogma, man, they don't understand business. They're trying to siphon money out your pocket without you getting a product or without you getting something that can help you. Why should you donate to somebody's YouTube page to do what? I don't ask nobody to donate to them to no page, but I have literature and books that I've gathered and compiled, and I'm a business. Just like I wouldn't tell a brother to leave the barber to cut hair for free or write your books and give them for free. I give lectures for free. And I have my books, and I ask brothers to donate to my books. But when I do lectures on platforms like the colleges and stuff, the student union, they got to pay. And the reason why they do it because I'm a nonprofit. They donate it. Don't y'all know every organization have monies that they donate every year to nonprofits? That's why when you see me taking 50 kids to the Phoenix Suns games, that stuff is donated to me. When I take them to the Arizona Cardinals games, that stuff is donated to me. When I go to Sprouts and all these places and get turkeys and feed seniors, all that stuff is donated to me because I'm a nonprofit. Back in my city, how I got property next to abandoned blight in my neighborhood, how I got it, because they donated it to me. Because they donated to me. Because we a business, and we're going to have our own charter community. But I keep hearing Negroes arguing over a nonprofit. I say, man, you have no idea what a 501c3 is. You have no, for instance, in the hardest hit communities, when you see other contractors coming in getting those contracts to tear all the stuff down, why you think they're getting the contracts? Because no Negro, black, or colored, or no more understand business. They don't have the resources, and they don't understand about having contract license to do all the work in your community. We just argue. And I have contractor's license. I have wholesaler's license. That's how we get clothing by the book, and we print our own things. That's why we don't complain. When I tell people what an organization is, that's the root to organize. It can be done, but brothers just giving a tittle their own religious dogma, and I'm not here to do that. I'm telling you to tell you that you are a business and God within. You can believe anything you want to, but when we sit down and when we do scholarship and when we research history, our story, we have to go with what can be proven. We don't have to go on with what we believe, because our belief can be based on a belie, a B-E-L-I-E, and our truth can be based on falsehood. So when we get with things that can be proven, we remove the religious dogma, we remove our lower self, and we operate total 720, connecting ourselves to the essence, to the constellations, understanding the zodiac laws. And I can go on and on with the wisdom. But we got to understand business, Moors. We got to understand about commerce. We got to understand about operating as a business. We have to do that. Would you say more out the 501c3 was the way to go, but they don't issue it here? However, your point of proving able, I'm going to say, when you say however you. Yes, Mo. Guaranteed. Remember Moors when Muhammad Ali couldn't box and things, but he was going over all the college campuses, being able to speak. How you think he was going over the college campuses to speak? The student union was paying him, but it had to be paid through a certain organization. Things have to be structured the right way. And if we don't understand that, then I'm sorry. That's how I tell Moors how I'm able to go in elementary schools and colleges and speak through my organization. They look me up. You can look me up on the Arizona Corporation Commission. You got to understand wording and why your paperwork must be right for you can operate on this earth plane as a business. When I'm talking about stamping your all right to reserve and reserving your right and certain things, how I operate. And when I say the only way to study international law, I study real law. I'm getting a doctoral in indigenous people law and policy. When I tell brothers, research the doctrine of discovery. You're arguing about your name in caps, but you showing up. That means you're obligated Your name in caps don't mean nothing because it's business in lower caps. Because it's business in lower caps. So when you show up, the first thing the judge asks you, is that your name? And you say, yeah. But it's in caps. You lost. It's a way to do certain things. For the record, Your Honor, it's certain ways to do things. But that's a whole other teaching. But Morris, yeah. Okay, I got about 5 more minutes. We just freestyling before we leave. I'm waiting for my people to train. But we got to understand business. That's how I'm able to, when I go into I'm getting ready to go back to Flint, Michigan, my home city, in a couple weeks. And I'm going to the elementary schools that I grew up going to. And I'm going to go in and show the kids how to print their own clothing. And I'm able to go in because I'm a nonprofit. The schools don't have the funds to pay, but they can draw it up as in-kind service to where they can donate me from my time, and I can use the rest as a donation and use that. And it's called in-kind service. That's why I tell brothers and sisters, when you reach a certain plateau, everyone should have a nonprofit. Anytime you have money, you should have a nonprofit. If you're an athlete, anything, this is what I teach when I teach financial literacy on the college campuses. You need to establish a nonprofit. That's how you're going to do things in your neighborhood. You need to understand about gross and net. You don't need no money manager talk about he's running your money, investing in bull crap, and then at the end of your career, you broke. These are the things that we teach. Science, agriculture, things that can be proven factual. We don't argue over nothing, and we operate on this earth plane. Just like last week, Morris, I don't like to show a lot of my students because I don't ask for their parents' permission, but I have got permission when they graduate. They're going to be able to show their business and show their business accounts and how they establish their own nonprofit, their own EIN, tax-exempt status as well. EIN and tax-exempt status are two different things. EIN is just your business number. The tax-exempt status means you're tax-exempt. That means all of your things can fall under your business. Well, that's all my vehicles, everything is under our organization. That's how we can get donations. That's how your family and your friends and organizations in your community can donate to your organization if they like what you're doing. It's called monetary and tangible donations. You can solicit. You can go places and do things. That's why when I go places, man, I say I go places by myself because I operate on love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Health and wealth is my 2 cents, and I know how to operate. I know how to ask for things because I'm a business. I'm telling you, man, you go in peace. I mean, no one comes at me no certain way but Negro, black, and colors. I have to say this. No one come at me no weird way but Negro, black, and colors. Only people that give a problem is our own kind when they're blind with religion because they've been told something and we won't even take the time to research it. And I like to use the analogy, and I had my dad laughing yesterday. I said, we need to reboot our hard drive and we need a flush and fill. A flush and fill, we need to get all that bad stuff out of our system, that food, that pollution, all that, get it out of us. And we need to reboot our hard drive, which is our hippocampus, because we got all this religious dogma in our head and this bull crap that's been feeding us forever. And we're not going to show our kids that who they are and what this science is all about. You know, it's things that can be done. In other words, if people was following me on my Instagram page when I was doing my contract work in Arizona, I was showing Morris, I was going all over. I got contractor license, so in Arizona, a lot of people move in and move out. So when people are moving in, they third-party contract work to box up like your expensive mirrors and things like that. I was getting the contracts the whole summer doing that, hiring people that couldn't get jobs, brothers out of jail, even my Latino brothers that want to do the work, getting out here, hiring brothers for $20, $25, and $30. Not worrying about their background. And that's where I'm taking my next level. The level that I want to be in the next couple of years is to have my job placement center till my brothers can come. And we can do things the right way. Other nationalities have it. They call it think tanks. They call it Silicon Valley. But what do we have? Nothing. Niggas Negroes, black and color, all on YouTube arguing about what some prophet taught and what he didn't taught. Not teaching no science. That's why I said, man, this stuff is laughable. That's why I say that it's laughable. When you say, okay, at the end of the day, let's go see what's being built. Let's go see the children being taught. Let's go see lives being changed. Let's go see people coming together. Nothing. We argued about, what a 501c3 is some white man stuff, and you don't understand the dynamics of business and how you're going to get things taken care of in your business, in your neighborhood. When brothers be going, like for instance, I got to be honest. If you a real business brother that say they getting school and trying to get school builders, don't you know when you're a real non-for-profit that's tax exempt from charitable, education, scientific, religion, and education, you can get schools donated to you and buildings donated to you? Don't you know that? And you can get funds to help you fix up the schools. That's where we work, and I'm telling you, we close, Moors. That's why I don't talk about too many things that we getting donations, not from no Moors that like to say it, from all other avenues. And that's how business works, man. I mean, we so tight with our pennies, and I have to talk about it. We go to church and give our offering, some Negro, black, and colors, and go right home and talk about the pastor. But don't try to build something with a brother that you see that can take us there, that's already established, that have the organization say, hey, man, we can put this there. No matter if we in the area or not. Like, we can be online students, but we make time for what we love. We can have real builders, man. The people can support it. Just like a lot of college universities. Why do you think a lot of college universities play with nonprofit and for-profit? Because they have stakeholders when they have non-for-profit. But in that aspect, the stakeholders want to get their ROI, which is the return of their interest. But when you have your own a nonprofit schooling and religious house, your own people are donating to it, and you can have charitable contributions all over, Moors. I hope y'all understand the dynamics of this. We can have our own. We have our own teaching, our own schooling. Yeah, our kids can go to the public school, but then they come get the teaching from schooling. And if not, we can create our own. Moors, I had a whole charter school out here in Arizona, man, for 3 years, a whole charter school. And then, I was paying it by myself, me and my family, so I had to, make it smaller, so I got like a little plaza, and we were teaching, and I teach metaphysics, I teach a plethora of things. But brothers don't want to come out their pockets, and they think that a movement is just going to operate just on so-called faith, and that's not true. It takes the essence of all that. Just like when brothers donate to get books and things, it comes with a tax-exempt receipt. Everything is a donation if you understand the language and it's claimed on your taxes. Anybody that donated literature or anything from me, it comes with a tax-exempt receipt. When I go do books, when I buy anything for our organization, for our temple and school, it's tax-exempt. I'm telling you, man, everything. So if anybody telling you, oh man, that's bullcrap, 501c3 or some white man, some this, they do not understand business, and let's see how they operate in their community. I guarantee you that if it's under their name, that's for profit, that's sole priorityship. So you better be able to prove what you're paying for. It better not be in your mama name, and your mama ain't having an income. It's all gonna get took because it's not organized. It's not an organization. So when brothers talk that stuff, well, they don't understand. For profit, non-for-profit, you can have that if you want. It's business. It's your paperwork. And you must understand the only way to do things and make a difference in your community economically, financially, agriculturally, you must be a real business. And today you want to be a non-profit for the state can help you. For you can donate your time and your resources to the kids and the babies in your community. So you can go into schools without worrying about them paying you. You can go in because you're a nonprofit. I hope y'all understand this science, man. It's already done. I love you all, Moors. Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, health, and wealth. Peace.